This month on The Spark, our theme is helping our youth achieve victory. We'll learn more about a multifaceted nonprofit with a farmer's market and urban farm that's helping youth develop personally, professionally, and spiritually. A private school program preparing student athletes to become successful college students. And a studio that's using bicycles as a catalyst to change lives. We'll also share a special moment from our Spark Awards 2020.
Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance is honored to serve the Memphis community for over 60 years. We've always focused on supporting our community and believe in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance is proud to be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.
Additional funding for The Spark is provided by Meriton, United Way of the Mid-South, MyTown Movers, MyTown Roofing, MyTown Miracles, and by Serves.
Ever been excited by a new idea? Inspired by watching someone lead by example? When we talk about creating change, we start by sharing the stories of everyday heroes who are making a difference in their own way so we can learn and do the same. I'm Jeremy Park, and this is The Spark.
They're an urban farm, a farmer's market, and a youth development training program. We are here with the co-founder of Landmark Training Development Company and Landmark Farmers Market, Mike Minnis. And Mike, let's start. Give us a little bit of the vantage point in terms of where you are and the backstory for starting this program.
Well, something that when you look at low investment neighborhoods, you recognize that property values have typically not appreciated as they should have in line with the rest of the world. However, one of the aspects of that decadence is torn down buildings. You've got a vacant lot, and a vacant lot represents a drain on a residential neighborhood to the extent that when an appraiser looks at it, he's looking at a risk. Where there was once a home or a piece of property is now a vacant lot, which is a risk factor as it pertains to investment. So it also brings down the value of those properties around it. However, a fruit tree at maturity is worth $2,500. So if you just take 10 fruit trees and plant them on a vacant lot, within 3 to 5 years, they're producing an abundance of fruit that may last for 20, 30 years. And now appraiser has to look at it as an income producing property, which helps to stabilize the surrounding properties in its area, and it provides nutrients by which individuals can sustain themselves. So there's a lot to be said about Johnny Appleseed's mission that he was on when he was planting seeds across the country.
Talk about the farmer's market, because you sell a number of products, a lot of products that you make. And so tease us a little bit with the farmer's market.
Well, Landmark Farmers Market is an indoor, year-round farmers market. And one of the things that people may not recognize is that it's the only farmers market in the Orange Mound community, which according to the USDA is designated as a food desert, which represents a lack of access to fresh, wholesome food. And when you add to the fact that there's a high percentage of people who receive supplemental nutritional assistance program benefits, that's the SNAP program, which was formerly the food stamp program, you can basically look at food deserts across the state, across the state of Tennessee. And one of the things that people suggest is that you put a grocery store into a community. Now, when a feasibility study is done by a major corporation, some of the things they take under consideration are demographics as well as per capita income. If the per capita income is not there, how can you make money? So it negates locating in the areas that are low investment communities for the most part, which is like a catch-22. However, let's say, for instance, that they chucked the feasibility study. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to locate into this low investment neighborhood and provide them with fresh, wholesome food. Well, if the people have no insights into nutritional values, they will continue eating the same processed foods that they had eaten prior to a grocery store locating in that area. So it's self-defeating. It's like the cart before the horse, and it's not something that's being taught in the educational system. So we take it upon ourselves. When people enter our farmers market, it's not just to buy produce. We want them to gain insights into the benefits of the fruits and vegetables that they're consuming so they can be more well-rounded. My objective, one of the things that I'd like to see happen is for people to walk out into their backyard with scissors and get the things they need instead of taking a prescription to a pharmacy. Because if you look at what was once quoted by the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, he said, let your food be your medicine. Ha ha ha. How cool is that?
Well, talk about your work with youth, because I think this is part of the magic of what you're doing is you are equipping the youth to really transform their lives in a number of powerful ways. So talk about your work with youth.
Well, we've got a number of them that are now college graduates. And I get a kick out of that because they came to us, they've been kicked to the curb as juvenile delinquents, castaways, and they transformed themselves by recognizing that there's more things available to them than what they had previously been involved with. And I have to be very thankful for the various organizations that have come and volunteered and sent college students to us, because when some of these youngsters interact with other youth that are in college, maybe 3, 4, 5 years older than they are, they recognize there's not much difference and that they can attain these things. So the expansion of their environment enhances their thought processes to make them like the little engine who could. After a while, he said he knew he can.
Go ahead and talk about 1 or 2 ways that we can help.
I mean, we are heavily into volunteerism. Person wants to come out, they don't necessarily have to get their hands dirty with me because I play in the dirt. My wife is a certified food processor, and we take a number of the products that we grow and add value to them, such as right now, they are taking some peaches that I picked Monday and Tuesday and making them into peach jam. She'll take cucumbers and turn them into pickles, pickled okra. She'll take various things that we grow, like the cabbages and bell peppers and tomatoes, and turn them into chow chow. We do the Roma tomatoes, and she makes salsa. We have skin cream that's good for eczema and psoriasis that we make in-house. And there are a number of different plants, herbs, and roots that we transform into wellness products, such as teas that are beneficial for different physical ailments. We've got a pain cream that has one drawback that I've had so far, and I've had this from several people who've given testimonies about it. It doesn't sting, it doesn't smell, but after you use it for a few times, you start to overexert yourself, so that kind of circumvents the problem. You know, you got to put ice on it again because the pain was gone and you'd forgotten about it, and it kind of overdid it.
Well, I love everything you're doing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Mike.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and thanks a lot.
They're a private school program preparing student athletes to become successful college students. We're here with the founder of Pure Youth Athletic Alliance, Melvin Cole. And Melvin, this starts with a promise to God. So share a little bit of your story in terms of founding the organization.
Absolutely. Jeremy, thanks for having me on this afternoon. Yes, so I started Pure Youth in 2011, and Pure stands for Progress Under Restraints and Extreme. And just like you said, I was just like these inner city teens, the lack of role models, educational support, and resources, which led me down the wrong path. And in prison is where I made a pact with God. If he was able to help me out in my situation, I would commit the rest of my life to saving young men back in my hometown of Memphis.
So you have the promise to God and you want to make a difference here in your hometown. You choose the sport of football and sports and an academy style program to make a difference. Describe how the program works.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of created the program off of everything that I wanted growing up as a young man here in Memphis. So basically, it kind of started off as a little league team. And once I noticed the deficiencies that they had in English and math and writing, that's when we pushed forward as a after school program, then had to go forth and created a homeschool style environment. And then we noticed that the kids, a few of our kids was homeless, sleeping in cars, sleeping on porches. So that forced me to kind of provide a residential support as well. And we're here in Memphis, living in double the national average of poverty for kids. That plays a huge role in generational poverty, and our education deficiencies as well. So I knew from a kid that the environment was everything. I mean, I was a drug dealer just because all of my uncles were drug dealers when I was growing up. So I knew the environment and the positive role models was going to be the ultimate impact of these kids.
You've had incredible success both on the academic side and obviously on the sports side as well. Give us an illustration of the academic gains and then also some of the top recruits that you're pushing out that are coming out of your program.
Football was always my passion. That was one of the ways that I dreamed of going to college and being able to change the trajectory of my life. And it's also a care to a lot of these young men who play sports. And it's just one of those things where, okay, guys, football can provide you an opportunity to impact your life, change your generation, and kind of do some things in that matter. And it then also creates instant gratification. So academics is delayed gratification, and sports is the instant gratification. Obviously, with Chris Morris being ranked #1 in the country, being an Under Armour All-American, going off to the University of Texas A&M. Then we got Tevin Carter right now, the #6 quarterback in America, according to Rivals. That's probably going to pick between the University of Memphis, Texas A&M, Texas, or the University of Florida. I mean, so he was the first 8th grader at Memphis to receive a SEC football offer. So we were able to have tremendous success on the athletic side as well, just with my background and the resources I was able to provide the kids from my wonderful board and the community that's been supporting our organization.
You were very creative during the pandemic, and for many high school programs that unfortunately weren't able to compete, you saw it as an opportunity to be creative and allow your kids to compete. So talk about what you did during the pandemic to have a football season.
Well, at the end of the day, it all goes back to the kids. You know, when we found out that the terrible decision that the kids wasn't going to have the opportunity to play high school football. And it wasn't about the game of high school football. It was about the opportunity to be able to showcase their talents to further their education. And, you know, going into last year with Chris, we was kind of faced with the same problem, being ineligible with TWSA. So I directly understood how those kids felt and how the parents felt as well. So we got together with our board and my staff and with the help of TWSA to kind of figure out, put a half season together to put these kids on the field to be able to play against your Briarcrest and your MUS and your Christian Brothers of those nature. So it was one of those things where we created a trial. We had about 100 kids try out, and we selected 35 of those kids to be able to compete and kind of just showcase their talent to be able to help them get an opportunity. At the end of the day, nothing's guaranteed, but it was all about providing that opportunity.
So how can the community help? How can we help you?
Absolutely. Well, I like to call it my 3 T's: time, talent, and treasure. Obviously, what our per cost of student is right at about $15,000. So financial support is always needed. We're currently trying to increase our campus. We have a 5-acre campus in Whitehaven where we're trying to build more dormitory, bigger classrooms. So that's always a need as well. And we definitely always need volunteers, whether it be on the business side of helping us do some marketing, helping us do some PR, maybe some back office work, just mentoring the kids, maybe coming in and doing some guest speaking. So it's that time, talent, treasure, however someone see fit.
Well, last question is the easy one. Where do we go to learn more and to get involved? So website, where would you direct us?
Absolutely. And our website is www.peeryouth.org.
Well, Melvin, greatly appreciate all you and your team do. Amazing work. Keep it up. Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
The Spark Awards annually recognize and celebrate individuals and organizations that have made outstanding contributions to the community. The 2020 recipient of the Individual Youth Award is Miles Butler.
I'm Miles Butler. I'm a freshman at CBHS. I'm 15 years old, and some of my hobbies are I like to skateboard. and I like to volunteer places and help the community. I overall got around 162 hours, I'm pretty sure. 138 of those hours came from the Humane Society. A few years ago in about 7th grade, we had to have a few service hours, and I love animals, and so I looked for some good volunteering hours, like that I'm eligible to get hours from, and I saw that the Humane Society was one. So I told my mom, I was like, oh, I might want to try this, and so I started to like go there. Like I went to the volunteer orientation, and for a while before we had to stop because of Corona, I went there about every weekend for about 3 hours every Saturday, and I can really connect with some of the animals there, and I help them like mainly with the cats and dogs, just to clean the cages and do laundry for them and just help them with everything. I feel like I can connect with a lot of the animals there, and I can kind of socialize with them, and it's really fun. Well, I usually walk the dogs with my mom, who's also a volunteer. It's a lot of work to keep up a whole animal shelter, and this is coming from a volunteer. They provide like good vet care there and like help them get back on their feet, and it makes me feel like I'm glad that I'm as fortunate as I am, and I built so many friendships just off volunteering at the Humane Society. After the day is over, it makes you like just feel awesome.
They're a studio using bicycles to change lives. We're here with the owner of Victory Bicycle Studio, Clark Butcher. And Clark, for you, this is a personal passion and story. So give us a little bit of the backstory for starting Victory.
Look, I started working in bike shops in Memphis at age 14. I worked in bike shops all through until I went off to college. So then it was, look, I was young, and it was my hobby, and it was turned into my sport and kind of a skill set. Never thought I would be in the retail business. And in 2010, I started Victory purely because bicycle retail was not being done correct in Memphis. And I simply, how did I know that? Is because people were coming to me to help with purchasing and wanting to seek out equipment, advice, or anything. And that's when I was like, well, if they're coming to me, why aren't they going to the local bike shop? And then before I knew it, it was happening often enough, because I had, at that point, over the 15 years, I had amassed this reputation of knowing something about this space and being credible. So yeah, I started the shop in 2010, totally part-time. I knew it would do well, but I never thought it would get to where it is today. And it's grown and grown, and it's enabled me to do all sorts of stuff.
Well, and a big part of what you do is training, and you do spin classes now. And so walk us through the different ways that you're engaging your customers, not only in the studio, but outside of it as well.
Yeah, we have all these different avenues of retention that I call it. So spin classes. We have spin classes 4 days a week. Pre-COVID, they were sold out for 9 years. We're actually just now about to go live again, which you can imagine some folks have been in it for 7 years. And when you just turn that spigot off, or that they're not setting the alarm that early 2 days a week, everything changes and you're just not balanced. So selfishly, I'm excited to get it back too. That was part of my own therapy. We are known for our fittings. So that's probably one of our biggest fortes. We actually pick up at DeWitt Spain Airport several times a year, as folks will fly privately into town to come get fitted by our fitters here. We do our monster training groups. That's probably what we're in town most famous for. And we have a couch to 50-mile training program, right? Like everyone, when we launched that, we're like, what? Like these guys are supposedly high end. They should be focused on racers. And no. I found very quickly that if you have a bunch of strong type A racers in the store, that scares away and intimidates 95% of bike buyers out there. And so it's funny, once I made this shift to really focus on the everyday person and empower them, right? Like, it is a couch to 50-mile program. I tell folks, I'm like, haven't ridden in years? You're perfect. You ride 2 days a week. Okay, well, you're probably too advanced for us.
Let's talk about your philanthropic and your community efforts, because you are heavily involved in the community. Let's start with Carpenter Art Garden, and give us a little bit of just your vantage point for Carpenter Art Garden and working with youth.
I don't know if you remember the whole story, but it all started with giving this youth from the Art Garden a bike. And we gave him a bike at that big Chamber of Commerce luncheon that we do in Memphis every year in the holidays. So I thought I was donating a bike. I thought I was just doing a nice thing. I didn't realize where it would go to from there. But so check this out. So I present this poster child of the Art Garden, I want to call him. His name's Dante Davis. You've seen his art all over this city. If you've seen those Grizz hearts that are in folks' yards, that means one, they love the Grizzlies, but that also means two, they love the Art Garden. But that was Dante's idea. And so I present him with this bike, and I gave a bit of a speech. You know, I'm not going to turn down that opportunity. And afterwards, donations start pouring into the Art Garden. And I get a call from the founder, Erin Harris, and she said, hey, I called the chamber because money is pouring in after that speech. And then Jeff Calkins did a great article on the whole process. And I'll never forget, I go, so why are you calling me? Like, I'm the bike guy. She goes, well, I was told we need to form a board, and I've heard you know how to do that, and you've done that before, so I'm calling you. And I immediately was like, I just wanted to give a bike. I really didn't know that I was signing on to all this, and especially the heavy lifting phases of starting a board and all that. So it just started to make sense. And then, you know, just like my mentality of business, you know, hey, it wasn't being done right, so I'm going to do it. I'm an entrepreneur. If I think I can do it better, I'm going to do it. And when I saw the help that was needed and really dove in there, that's when I was like, okay, I got to be in this. Like now I'm in it. And so at that time, the Art Garden was 2 employees and 1 piece of real estate. Now I think we're 9. We have 9 homes and pieces of real estate. Some are gardens, some are vegetable gardens, and we're 8 full-time employees, and sometimes we're up to 30 part-time employees in the summertime running our programs.
Give us a little bit on teaching the youth how to fix bicycles.
Yeah, so it's cool. That's a great question, because this program has changed. You know, it started with this, I had this vocational idea, and selfishly, this was also to benefit me as well. And that, hey, these kids love working on bikes. I need skilled mechanics. That was the big lofty thinking, and we slimmed it way down. Now we have community bike rides, right? Like, let's focus on the health and fitness side, and Clark, put your selfishness, vocational, trainable staff aside for a second. Y'all, this is one of the coolest things. Number one, it's totally free. So if you're listening right now and this sounds interesting to you, sign up. We're always needing volunteers. Do not wear Lycra. Please don't show up in Lycra. This is a community bike ride. You will have 10 to 30 riders spread out over 3 miles on a 3-mile course. And these kids crash, they wreck, and they have a ball doing it. It started as these community rides, and now you'll like this through COVID, it's turned into time, right? So now we're charting mileage. And when the rider reaches 100 miles accumulative, they get this really cool 100-mile club shirt that I had made up. And it's something that they strive to get and they work for. And you're teaching them to be accountable, right? Because the only way to meet that is to show up and show up consistently. We're more focused on the fitness than learning, tinkering, and working on the bikes.
We'll wrap up with contact information, your website, social media. Where do we go to learn more about Victory Bicycle Studio?
Everything on the website comes to me, victorybicyclestudio.com. That'll all come to me. Facebook, we're Victory Bicycle Studio. Instagram, Victory Bicycle Memphis. It's either Victory Bicycle Memphis or Victory Bicycle Studio, but you'll recognize the V in the little logo icon.
Hey, well, thank you and your amazing team for all you do. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show, Clark.
Thanks, Jeremy.
When we talk about achieving victory, we're talking about so much more than sports and winning a game or a race. We're talking about the achievement of success in life in overcoming a struggle or challenge. We're talking about the confidence that comes with putting forth maximum effort, persevering, and seeing that hard work pay off. We're talking about mastery, maturity, leadership, and growth. Yes, it's nice to have a victory in the win column, but if our community is going to thrive, we need to help our youth achieve victory in the life column. And that's exactly what we saw with this month's episode in the organizations like Landmark Training Development Company and Pure Youth Athletic Alliance that are pouring into youth through farming, sports, education, mentorship, and so much more, which is transforming lives personally, professionally, and spiritually. Then companies like Victory Bicycle Studio are taking a hands-on approach to both support youth-driven nonprofits and also create job skills training programs to equip them and empower them for the road ahead. As we help our youth achieve victory, we cultivate the leaders who will become the sparks in our community. So thank you for watching The Spark. To learn more about each of the guests, to watch past episodes, and to share your stories of others leading by example, visit WKNO.org and click on the link for The Spark. We look forward to seeing you next month, and we hope that you'll continue joining with us to create a spark for the Mid-South.
Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance is honored to serve the Memphis community for over 60 years. We've always focused on supporting our community and believe in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance is proud to be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.